Big AAA game companies don't necessarily have reputations for respect for the player as, a person. Between monetization schemes and sometimes outward contrivances to justify a story beat or something. But every once in a while, a developer really takes their time to say, you know what, player? RESPECT. Big ups. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 times developers really respected the player. Now, just as a quick disclaimer, what we're talking about is more genuine appreciation and acknowledgement of the player's accomplishments or choices or something along those lines. So, with that out of the way, starting off with Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 10, the dialogue changes that reflect actions you've taken in the game. It's 5 years old at this point, but Red Dead 2 is still surprising in its depth and reactivity. Missions are mostly pretty rigid in what they let you do, but there are so many moments where you can actually decide the outcome of things that seem pretty inconsequential or aren't really made clear in the mission itself. Take, for example, one of the earlier missions, Polite Society Valentine Style, which at the end of the mission you find Karen in the hotel being assaulted by a guy. The game actually lets you decide this guy's fate. You can threaten him, beat him up, or straight up kill him, and the game continues. In most other games, it wouldn't really matter what choice you made here, but Red Dead actually remembers what you did here. And during the conclusion, Karen's dialogue is going to change depending on whether Arthur scared the guy or actually killed him.
You okay?
Sure. He only punched me. Arthur did a lot worse to him.
All right, then.
You okay?
Sure. He only punched me. Arthur punched him a lot harder.
All right, then.
It's not a huge alteration of the story or anything, but it's satisfying to see the game acknowledge what you've done, no matter how small the choice might seem. Red Dead 2 is filled with little details like this, and it's illustrative of the amount of time and effort they put into creating just the most immersive game they could. And number 9 is letting someone else complete the mission for you in Dishonored. The Dishonored games are immersive sims, which are built on expression and reactivity from the player, so certain level of responsiveness to the player's choices is going to be expected. In these games, you can resolve certain side quests in different ways, and the main assassinations always have multiple methods and at least one non-lethal option. What you're supposed to do is usually pretty obvious, but there are some impressive hidden ways that you can take out your target, and they don't seem like they'd ever work, but they do. And the game even specifically acknowledges them when they trigger. A perfect example of this sort of thing is in the second mission, where you're hunting the High Overseer. While you're sneaking around his headquarters, the man is meeting with someone and sharing a glass of wine, which is revealed to be poison. In any other game, it'd just be a cutscene to show that the Overseer is a treacherous snake, but this game allows you to use that poison to your advantage. And that's the obvious route. If you get to the meeting room before they arrive, you can swap the poison to easily kill your target, or just remove it entirely, which causes the guest to remain alive. Keeping him alive forces the Overseer to switch to an alternate plan, so he leads them both down to his hidden chamber. This is an ideal place to ambush the Overseer after he murders his guest, but there's a way to kill him without getting your hands dirty at all. If you wait nearby and let the Overseer lead the guy into the hidden room and then wait for him to turn around so that the Overseer draws his sword in an attempt to stab him in the back, you can turn on a nearby music player which alerts the victim and has him turn around and kill the Overseer.
The way the brushwork slashes.
You're going down!
You barely even have to do anything. He even thanks you for your assistance afterwards, one of the few ways he'll even acknowledge you without attacking on sight. It's stuff like this that makes the Dishonored games so great, like they thought of everything. And number 8 is Grand Theft Auto 4's The Final Interview. This relatively basic mission doesn't seem like it has a lot going on, but it makes up for its simple objective with a surprising amount of reactivity depending on how you approach it. The mission is simple. You meet with a lawyer, steal his files, kill him, and get out. Simple stuff as far as GTA games go.
Guy's got a bodyguard, limo, everything. You're gonna need to get one-on-one with him.
Not in the showers.
Not in the showers, a job interview.
So most players' reactions just walk in, point a gun in the guy's face, and kill him. Doing this calls the cops and forces the usual police chase to end the mission. That's not your only option, though. It's possible to be smart about this one. If you put your gun aside and instead use a knife to silently eliminate him, you can simply walk out without anyone even aware of what you did. The game doesn't tell you this is an option, it's just something that's there to reward clever players who are smart enough not to make any noise. And number 7 is Skyrim, Diplomatic Immunity. Bethesda, not really known for its highly reactive quests, but there's still some pretty good ones out there that show plenty of respect towards player initiative. The one that's really impressive to me is Diplomatic Immunity, where you sneak into the Thalmor embassy. They're hosting a party that requires a disguise to get in.
It's only a matter of time before your whole rotten empire collapses of its own decay. No offense.
But once you're outside the designated area meant for the partygoers, it turns into a stealth affair. Most players sneak through, but there's another way to get through this place. You can actually don a disguise. I just want to make it clear that the game never mentions this as an option, but it absolutely works. There are some requirements though. You have to be wearing a hooded robe for the disguise to work, and your race will actually affect how easily the guards spot you. Beast races, just out from the start, their tails give them away, but if you're human, you can walk around in robes without setting off any alarms in certain parts of the embassy. If you're a high elf, then you've got it best. You can pretty much go anywhere without anyone getting suspicious, and you can even order guards around if you want. I had no idea you could do this until years after I first played the mission, and I bet the guy who first figured it out had to have felt really clever. And number 6 is Call of Duty Black Ops 2's Suffer With Me mission. The campaign mode for Black Ops 2 remains one of the strangest experiments in the Call of Duty franchise, turning the usual linear shooter antics of the series into a choose-your-own-adventure story. Other games have done similar things and allow for a little player choice here and there, but nothing has quite matched the ambition of what they were trying to do with Black Ops 2. Most of the decisions you're making don't really feel like they're respecting the player exactly. I mean, sure, to a certain extent, the game does reward players who are genre savvy enough to predict most of the twists and turns, but if there's one moment that sticks out to me that really feels like it's rewarding the player for being clever, it's the mission Suffer With Me. Now, it's mostly just a story mission, but the big moment where you're playing as Frank Woods and you're ordered by superiors to kill a hooded man is pretty ingenious. Anyone can tell there's something up with this whole situation and that you're being lied to, but in most games you're simply forced to fall into the bad guy's trap because that's how the story goes.
Hudson!
It's him, Woods. Nexus target is Raul Menendez.
You should have told us, Hudson. You should have told us.
We are ready. Bring him out.
It seems like that's the case here, too. You're ordered to shoot the hooded prisoner in the head, so you think you're being clever and you shoot him in the leg instead. Then the game orders you to shoot him again to make sure. You absolutely have to shoot them no matter what, but if you hit them somewhere low a second time, you'll actually save them. It doesn't seem like that's the case at first when the hood is removed, and of course, that's not your prisoner. It's actually the Black Ops main character, Mason Mr. Numbers himself. That part's obvious. It's the not killing him part that makes it feel like it respects the player, because it really seems like your only option is to kill, but it's not. And if you don't kill him, you get the best possible ending of the story. At number 5, Mass Effect 3, Conrad Werner's many Mass Effect 1 callbacks. We all rag on Mass Effect 3's disappointing ending, but when you actually look at it, the third game is really reactive to your choices from the first two, outside of the ending. But there's a ton of alternate dialogue, entirely different characters and story events that change depending on the choices you made in the previous games. And while, yeah, the narrative itself doesn't change, the amount of writing put into account for the possible changes, to things like character relationships and story resolutions, is pretty impressive. One of the more minor characters in the series is Conrad Werner, a guy you meet in the first game who's obsessed with supporting humanity, and he really wants to know more about being a Spectre. He's kind of pathetic in every one of his appearances, but if you tell him to buzz off in the first game, he'll end up dead. Basically, the same thing happens in the second game too. Help him with his quest and he'll survive to the third game, but if you blow him off, he's dead. The only way to get him to show up at the final game in the trilogy is to encounter him in both previous games, no matter if it was positive or negative. As long as you don't completely blow him off, he will show up in the third.
Do I know you?
No, I'm just a fan. One of your biggest fans, actually. My name is Conrad Werner. They say you killed more than 100 Geth on Eden Prime.
They say a lot of things. I was too busy killing them to count.
Hey, I know you're probably busy, but do you have time for a quick autograph?
I don't have time for this, Conrad. I'm not here to be a role model.
Oh, I see how it is. Commander Shepard doesn't have time for the little people.
He's also got a lot of dialogue depending on what you did to him in previous games. He'll mention things you did in the first game, he'll complain if you hit or shot him in the second, he'll respond to certain quests that you've done. Like, there's a ton of variation here that BioWare could have just left out. It's kind of unfortunate the main quest is mostly so static, because a lot of the side content is amazing in how much it acknowledges your actions in previous games, no matter how inconsequential they may have seemed at the time. And number 4 is Elden Ring's Kill One, Kill the Other. You know him, you hate him. Nobody likes Margit, the first roadblock for many people playing Elden Ring for the first time. Nearly everything about this game, you could paint at least as respectful to the player. It's high difficulty, the tutorial is optional and pretty quick. It's complex, it's difficult to navigate, it's filled with mysteries and secrets that go almost entirely unexplained and allow the player a lot of agency in terms of winning. One of the strangest things about Elden Ring is its obsession with doubles, duplicates, and alternate identities. Many characters have them, including Margit. He's actually Morgott, the similarly named Omen King, the ruler of the lands between and the last king. Funny thing is, it's actually possible to go to the capital and kill the Omen King before ever facing Margit. Extremely counterintuitive. You face Margit in the Stormvale Castle, the first legacy dungeon most players will encounter, but it's possible. If you do that, you can entirely bypass the Margit fight. You killed his true form, so of course his weaker alternative is now also gone. It's one of those little details most players would never even think of checking because it's so unlikely, but it works, and the option is there. And number 3 is Prey from 2017, Save December. Imagine a Dishonored level is basically an entire game, and that's Prey. It's a game that makes most of its main objectives fairly clear, but there's many alternate paths to walk because anyone can die at any point. There's always a redundancy or alternative way to finish the story, and things can change pretty drastically from even the standard path, even though it seems pretty locked in. One of the most jarring moments in the game occurs when you find that your robot that's been guiding you along on your journey at this point, it's been killed. Yeah, December is the robot and it's been replaced by January, which says that the previous model robot was misleading you and they're going to tell you what you actually should be doing. It seems like one of those moments you just have to accept in these games, like some big twist in BioShock, for example, where all you can do is sit and watch. So most players don't even think there's something else they can do. But it's actually possible to save December. All you have to do is kill January when you see them.
Do you believe that Typhon are building
and they're permanently dead. December remains your guide, and it changes a lot of the dialogue, actually. Every single character can die in Prey, and the game never bars your progress.
Suspect we are still...
Moving on to number 2, the final tower in the Talos Principle. The final standard challenge in the Talos Principle is this timed tower climb that has to be completed with the help of the Shepherd, an AI assistant that's required to finish these cooperative puzzles. I say required just because it seems like that's what you have to do, but with some skill and ingenuity, it's actually possible to beat this place by yourself. Some of this stuff seems more like speedrunner tricks and exploits than anything else, so you'd think the game wouldn't acknowledge the achievement, but of course it's on this list, so it does. There's a special Easter egg that triggers if you manage to get to the top of the tower solo, so they didn't just know players would try it, they both made it possible and added a little reward for the players crazy enough to do so. And number 1 is Baldur's Gate 3, the Iron Thorn Rescue. When it comes to games that respect and acknowledge player choice, few hold a candle to Baldur's Gate 3. There are so many different optional encounters and bits of dialogue that depend on your choices that there are some points that people still haven't been able to figure out how to trigger naturally. You can get really deep in the weeds with this game, but my personal favorite is that it shows a lot of respect for the player during the entire Iron Thorn Rescue in Act 3. There's a lot leading up to this, but basically you need to rescue a bunch of people in an underwater prison. It's basically assumed that saving everyone's impossible. You've got only 4 party members to explore this huge area, fight endlessly respawning enemies, and rescue the prisoners who are scattered all over the place. Also, there's a time limit, just to make things even more stressful. Your main objective, if he's still alive, is Duke Ravengard and the hostages, and while the game doesn't expect you to save everyone, if you fail, it can have serious repercussions. So you need to be as efficient as possible because those aren't the only people trapped in here. There's another secret chamber chamber that's both very difficult to save, but also extremely helpful to find. Getting everyone out is hard as hell, but if you manage it, the game shows you some real respect for your efforts.
I'm free. In my own mind again, wholly. I will not take it for granted. You acted quickly, decisively, and compassionately. I, nay, all of us owe you no less than our undying gratitude.
I mean, this game is hard as hell at points, but when you do well, the game makes sure you know that you've done something amazing. It's just one of many, many different points in the game where the developers show respect for the player, but it's my favorite by a mile. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. Don't forget to click the notification bell, and as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time, right here on gameranx.